Morning, guys. Morning. How is everybody doing? I hope you're all doing amazing. Happy Saturday morning. I hope you are enjoying your weekend. I have had a really good week. It's been pretty quiet at work. Last weekend, I went out and had a really great weekend in Cherokee, which was absolutely beautiful this time of year, and ate some incredible food and just had a really good time. So I feel super refreshed for this week, and I really had a good time last weekend. Thank you guys, for those of you that watched the short little vlog, for coming along. So what are we talking about this week? Well, my cup here is a bit of a clue. We are talking about Roman empires, right? Like, that is all over TikTok right now. What is your Roman Empire? That thing that you can just go on an absolute tangent about. That thing that you love to talk about, that you could talk for days about, that you spent hours and hours reading or researching on. What is your Roman Empire? So I have a lot of friends who would probably say Brandon Sanderson is their Roman Empire. They're very knowledgeable. They've read everything. I'm not quite that read up, if you would, on Sanderson to call my Roman Empire Brandon Sanderson novels, but somebody who I have read every single piece of their work and love it. And recently, as last month, finally finished their 8-book series. They have 3 major series that I've read that they have out in the world, and I just recently finished their body of work. And like I said, the cup is a clue, because my Roman Empire that I could literally just talk for days about is Sarah J. Maas's body of work. Now, we're going to do a bit of a deep dive here. So if you are not familiar with Sarah J. Maas's work, if you don't like spoilers, if you want to read this body of work and you think that maybe I could give something away, definitely stop the video here. I appreciate the click and the like. But if you have read Sarah J. Maas's work, or you are reading Sarah J. Maas's work, or you don't care about spoilers, please stay tuned. So there are 3 bodies of work by Sarah J. Maas that are what we would call her main body of work. We have Crescent City, Throne of Glass, and A Court of Thorn and Roses. I'm going to talk about them in kind of the order that I read them. My first introduction to Miss Maas's work was A Court of Thorn and Roses. Now, I had seen this book all over TikTok, and I was like, you know what? I really want to get more into fantasy. This was 2 or 3 years ago now. I would say my favorite genre of books now is what is considered romantasy, which is fantasy with a romance undertone. If it is romantasy, and especially if it's enemies to lovers, let me tell you what, take my money, because I'm going to purchase it, I'm going to read it, I'm going to add it to the TBR. I cannot get enough romantasy. But 2 out of 3 of these series I would call romantasy. The third one has so much other fantasy aspects in it and very little smut that most people do not call the Throne of Glass series romantasy, but more fantasy. However, I think that it falls at certain points in both categories, and I'll explain why. But the first body of work that I read of Sarah J. Maas's was A Court of Thorn and Roses. It's a 5-book series thus far. There are more books coming. And it revolves around a young woman named Feyre. And Feyre lives in the human world, and it's very dystopian, and her family is starving. So she has taught herself how to hunt. And she's become quite good at it. So she goes out hunting to feed her family, and she comes across a wolf. And now this wolf pelt, as well as meat, will absolutely bring her family in money as well as food. So she hunts and she kills this wolf. Well, apparently this wolf was a fae who was in his animal form. And now the Fae Lord, Tamlin, has a problem with her. So he comes to her and he tells her that he owes her, or that she owes him a life debt now. And so she has to go back to the Fae realm with him. And absolutely 5 books of chaos ensues. This is one of those series, and I don't like recommending series where the first book isn't that great and I tell you gotta push through to book 2. But 100% this series and Throne of Glass, I feel like are like that. By the latter books, they are top tier. But the first book in A Court of Thorn and Roses isn't that great to me, because it very much revolves around Feyre and Tamlin's relationship, which is not a fated relationship. It is very, very toxic. And so because of that, I had a really hard time getting into the first book. Even though I knew that there was no way she was going to end up with Tamlin. We could not have 5 books of Feyre and Tamlin. I don't know, it was hard to push through. So we went ahead and read all 5 of those books, and they are wonderful. And when I finished those 5 books, I needed more, right? I wanted more Sarah J. Maas. So Crescent City, book 1 had just come out. That is a currently 2-book series. There's a 3rd book that is coming out in January. Now, I read Crescent City book 1, obviously, and then literally right as I was finishing Crescent City book 1, Crescent City book 2 dropped. So I read that one immediately after. Crescent City takes place in a very dystopian, almost New York City type of place. And Bryce is your main female character. And her entire best friend and friend group gets yeeted. In like the first 5 chapters of this book, they are dead. And so it's very devastating. But Bryce must work with a homicide detective named Hunt is one of my favorite characters in Sarah J. Maas' world. I think he does not get the love that he absolutely deserves to get. Hunt Alethar is so good. I also love Rune Danon, who is the Valborn Fae Prince in this series. He is one of my favorite characters as well. Absolutely love some of the characters in this series. So this is, like I said, a 2-book series, but at the end of the 2nd book, leading into the 3rd book that is getting ready to come out, we have a crossover, because Crescent City is very dirty, gritty, corrupt government feel, okay? Like an NYPD Blue episode, but with fairies and mer people and witches, and all of your supernatural are real and exist in this world, and just try to work together, right? But it doesn't go so well, and they are trying to solve what has happened to Bryce's best friend Danica. And there's just, every time you reveal a layer, there's more secrets, more darkness, more depth, more grittiness. And so it's a really good crime, gritty, New York City-esque series. But at the end of that book 2, Bryce goes through a portal, and in that portal, she wakes up at the feet of the High Fae Lord Rhysand, who is the mate of Feyre from the A Court of Thorn and Roses series. So we have a major A Court of Thorn and Roses and Crescent City crossover coming in this Crescent City book 3 that comes out in January. It's one of the things that's got people extremely hype about this book, right? Because we are really excited to see some of our favorite characters from varying series all interconnect and see what's going to happen, right? Because who doesn't want more of their favorite character? One series that we don't think is going to interconnect, though, is that third series by Sarah J. Maas. And it is a completed body of work from her own mouth. However, in a most recent interview, Sarah did say, or is it? So there is that open, cracked door for your Throne of Glass characters to also enter this Crescent City Court of Thorn and Roses jumble. A Throne of Glass is a series that is 8 books long, and it revolves around a 17-year-old young woman named Celaena Sardothien, and she is an assassin. And boy, is it an incredible 8-book journey. And oh my goodness, to even describe it, there are fae and humans and magic. It is just really incredible telling of this broad story that takes over a course of a couple of years. I have a whole video on Throne of Glass. I'm literally at a loss for words to describe it in just a few words. But it is about loyalty and love and determination in doing what has to be done for your duty to your people. And just character development on top of character development on top of more character development. The amount of character development in this series is just almost mind-boggling that she is able to do what she does with a couple of handfuls of characters in 8 books. But it is exquisitely done storytelling. It can be very military at times, but also very YA at times. It's just an incredible body of work. And I don't know how I feel about those characters tying into our other 2 series of characters, and for a few reasons. One, this book series, Throne of Glass, is gut-wrenching and heart-wrenching and just dark. Definitely check any trigger warnings before you go into this series, because there is a lot of SA, there is a lot of trauma, there is a lot of main character deaths, there's torture. So definitely check your trigger warnings before Throne of Glass is read. But it is an experience to read it from start to finish. So the ending of Throne of Glass is extremely well done, extremely cohesive, and just feels very final. So I just don't know. How I would feel about opening that door again, if you would. Bringing new characters into those perfectly wrapped up characters. I think that I'm okay with A Court of Thorn and Roses and Crescent City interweaving. I personally would love it if Throne of Glass is left alone. If we just leave that as that completed, beautiful body of work that it is. Do I miss Aelin and Rowan, and especially Chaol, who is one of my favorites, Manon? I would love a sub-series about Manon and the 13 witches and riders. I would absolutely love a Manon sub-series. But as far as continuing that main storyline, I think I'm ready to leave it alone. If I do miss those characters, but I can always go back and reread those books. I feel like the ending was so beautiful in Kingdom of Ash that I don't want to mess that up. I had such a good final feeling at the end of Kingdom of Ash. So let's leave that alone, in my opinion. In my own opinion. But A Court of Thorn and Roses series, Crescent City, they're still ongoing. The characters are not as developed as some of the characters in Throne of Glass. They're still developing. So I am a-okay with any crossover between those two series, and I'm excited. I am just as hyped as the next person to read Crescent City Book 3 in January. Like, I can't wait to give you guys that review. I do have Crescent City 1 and 2 reviews on this channel. I also have all of the Throne of Glass. I have all of the Court of Thorn and Roses. You can go look up those individual reviews if you want to. But this is literally my Roman Empire. I've been talking for 15 to 20 minutes, and I've barely scratched the surface of what I would love to say about these books. I think that they do fae and supernatural incredibly realistically and well. I like the way that the mating system works in these books. I like the way that all of them feel very cohesive. You can tell that these are all Sarah J. Maas bodies of work without even knowing who wrote them. The verbiage and the development of characters and the magic systems, they all feel similar. They feel like SJM. So yeah, I could go on forever, but that is why SJM work is my Roman Empire. If you want to talk about incredible romanticy, bring it. Comment down below. We can definitely talk about some SJM work. But with that, you guys, I am going to let you all go for this weekend. I'll be back on Monday. I am making up a really cute Halloween charcuterie board this week for some Halloween movie night. And what else do we have going on? Oh yeah, I want to talk about Amazon Prime Day just a little bit and what I was able to get on Amazon Prime Day that I thought was an incredible deal. And just what I'm doing as far as my reading, because I've made some changes recently and I want to delve into it. And yeah, so that's all coming up on Coffee and Lore. Thanks for liking, subscribing. As always, I appreciate you guys being here, and you all have a great rest of your weekend and a great week next week. Bye.